What's going on, guys? Satsuki the Savage here, and today is going to be a How Strong is Kurapika video. You guys chose this. I did a poll and I asked you guys which video would you like to see first. Now, just to clarify, I will do all 5 videos eventually, but some videos I have to wait until I fully reread Hunter x Hunter to do them. But I was actually surprised that you guys picked this one first. I was pretty sure you would pick the top 10 my favorite characters video, but since you guys chose this is the first one you get. But enough talking, I'm gonna get right into it. So let's start. So there are some misconceptions about Kurapika's abilities, which ties into why some people believe that Kurapika isn't as strong as advertised. So let's get the elephant out of the room by listing Kurapika's abilities. Starting with the middle finger, you have Chain Gel, which is the only nin ability that can be used strictly on the Phantom Troupe. Let me say this again. Chain Gel is the only nin ability that is exclusive to the Phantom Troupe. Some people have the notion that all of Kurapika's abilities are linked to the Phantom Troupe, which is false. But talking about Chain Gel, although making unbreakable chains is pretty much impossible, Kurapika circumvented this by creating a condition that this ability would be tailored to the Phantom Troupe, and using it on any other people would result in its own death. These chains can force you into a state of Zetsu, cutting off your nin, which would then give you 2 options. Either beg Kurapika to free you or use brute force to break the chains. We've seen that Uvogin, one of the most physically dominant characters in Hunter x Hunter, not have the strength to break this chain while in Zetsu. So the chances of any spider breaking out of the chain once caught is pretty much non-existent. So with just Chain Gel alone, Kurapika is able to go toe-to-toe with the Phantom Troupe because of the strict conditions he has in place. But when asking the question, how strong is Kurapika, the feat of tangling with the spiders is already a given. The question is truly asking, how does Kurapika fare with other Hunter x Hunter characters, excluding the Phantom Troupe? So let's look at Kurapika's other abilities to answer that question. On the ring finger, Kurapika holds the dowsing chain, which is usually his go-to move for combat. We see that the weight of the ball end is heavy enough to easily destroy a rock and turn cliff tops into rubble on impact. Kurapika can also handle this weapon with great dexterity, as he doesn't have to struggle to swing and attack with his chain. The dowsing chain can also be used to defend, as we've seen Kurapika use his ability to catch bullets without scarlet eyes, which is also a testament to Kurapika's speed. On the pinky, Kurapika holds the ability Judgment Chain, which I don't need to go into much detail with since it's more of an interrogation technique than a combat one. With this, Kurapika gives a command to his opponent, and if that command is broken, his opponent will die. This ability is usually paired with Chain Gel, but as I said, this isn't geared for fights, so it's pretty simple and straightforward. Going to the thumb, Kurapika has the Holy Chain, which is a healing ability. We've only seen this ability once, but Kurapika was able to heal serious damage coming from Uvogin in just a couple of seconds. We don't know the limit of the healing as far as how severe the injury can be, but I think it's safe to assume that the Holy Chain can heal most external injuries. Having an ability like this can keep you going in a fight regardless of harm, and the only expense will be aura and stamina. So while this of course isn't an offensive threat, it can keep you afloat in the battle of attrition. And for the final chain, we have the index finger, which hosts the steel chain. The name is pretty self-explanatory. The steel chain is an ability that allows Kurapika to rob someone of their nin ability. Once struck by the syringe, the victim goes into a state akin to Zetsu, and then they are stripped of their nin ability. Now there are about 3, maybe 4 other nin abilities where the primary function is to replicate someone else's ability. Leo's Rental Pod, Benjamin's Benjamin Baton, and of course Crollo's Skill Hunter. And although the execution for these abilities vary, the conditions that are required are harder to fulfill than Steel Chain. As far as we know, all Kurapika has to do is strike with the syringe to steal abilities. So with the Steel Chain forcing victims into a pseudo Zetsu and not allowing them to use the stolen ability, the Steel Chain works in conjunction to not only bolster Kurapika's arsenal, but it also serves to wither the opponent down. One unknown factor about the Steel Chain, however, is the practicality of using it in battle, since we don't know for sure whether or not it has any conditions not explicitly stated. We also don't know if the Steel Chain takes time for the syringe to to rob the target of their nin ability, so without further information, this ability is sort of a wild card. As for Kurapika's ace in the hole, Emperor Time, much like his other abilities, is misunderstood on how exactly it works. I'll try to give my best explanation of it from what I surmised from the anime and manga, but it will probably end up being confusing anyways, but alas, here we go. With nin, there are two subjects to consider: mastery and proficiency. Depending on your nin type, you would naturally have a concrete cap to your rate of growth in certain nin categories. Simply put, the mastery of a nin user is a proportion limit that never changes. It is a constant that is determined by your nin type. Since Kurapika is a conjurer, here is an example of how his mastery level would work. If Kurapika was a level 10 conjurer, his maximum mastery level for other categories would be as follows: transmutation, level 8, enhancement and manipulation, level 6, emission, level 4, specialist, level 0. This again is predetermined by a nin user's nin type and can be tracked by looking at the nin chart. The other subject to cover is proficiency, which is the effectiveness of the ability, which is also confined to a certain limit. For example, Kurapika being a conjurer would normally make his transmutation abilities only 80% effective, his enhancement skills 60% effective, his manipulation skills 60% effective, etc., etc. This is also a rule determined by the nin chart, but with Emperor Time, Kurapika can negate this and use all categories with 100% proficiency. Using the previous example again, if Kurapika is a level 10 conjurer, his mastery would limit him to a level 4 transmutation ability, and normally he will only be able to muster up 40% of that power. But in Emperor Time, he can use 100% of that power. I say all of that to drill home the fact that Emperor Time would never allow Kurapika to fully master any category except for Conjurer. However, it does let him use other nin types to the fullest as a conjurer with fixed limitations. The downside of Emperor Time and all abilities that use it is that it causes fatigue for Kurapika, so it's not an ability suited for prolonged combat. As for Kurapika's natural strength, on numerous occasions we've seen that although Kurapika isn't physically imposing in his stature, he is still physically strong. The Kurta clan Scarlet Eyes are not only a necessity for Emperor Time, but it seems as if they also serve to enhance combat prowess with a boost to all physical aspects. At age 11, as we seen in Volume 0 Kurapika's Memories, Kurapika was able to beat the hell out of 3 armed men after he was enraged while garnishing his Scarlet Eyes. Going further in the story, in the manga, Kurapika could open one gate of the testing gate of the Zoldyck estate by himself, and with each door weighing 2 tons, Kurapika was able to push a 4-ton door before he even knew nin. One moment I see overlooked by people was when Kurapika punched Uvogin in the face and actually harmed him. Uvogin was restrained and poisoned due to the Shadow Beast, yes. However, he could still use nin and was even able to break the sword that Zoldyck tried to stab him with once he shrouded himself in tin. This is the same Uvogin who is noted to have iron skin by Phaeton, who had an instance where Worm tried to punch him and it did more damage to himself, and who had a fucking bazooka fired at him, resulting in nothing but a costume change. I say all of this to frame how much of a tank Uvogin was, yet Kurapika broke through it with Uvogin's defenses up. The last subject I'll go into is the implied potential from Kurapika based on testimony from other characters and other story elements. First, we had Hisoka, who spared the life of Kurapika on 2 different occasions during the Hunter exam. Hisoka, as we know, is someone who literally gets horny from talent and potential, and he saw enough in Kurapika to let him go free twice. The second incident was during the interviews that took place before the final exam of the Hunter exam. The examinees were asked 2 questions: who are they looking out for, and who would they least like to fight? When Poco was asked the first question, he answered with Kurapika because he felt like he was the most balanced in the pool of examinees that had Killua, Gon, Illumi, and Hisoka. The last bit of testimony is from Uvogin. When recalling the Phantom Troupe's massacre of the Kurta clan, Uvogin burst with excitement, remarking that the Kurta clan was strong. So this is an indirect form of proof of Kurapika's strength because he too, of course, is a Kurta clan member. The final bit of evidence I want to touch on is the fortune of the Phantom Troupe. Given the fortune written by Chrollo, the deaths of Uvoken, Shizuku, Pakunoda, Shaunark, and 2 other spiders out of Phaeton, Kurapika, and Finks were all predicted. Had the Phantom Troupe chose not to heed the fortune, Kurapika would have killed half of their members, and even with an ability that is tailored to target them, that still would have been a grand achievement. Now, to give a definitive answer to the original question, how strong is Kurapika? I say Kurapika is in the mid-tier of the strong characters of the Hunter x Hunter universe. Characters who are nin experts or close to it, like Hisoka, Razor, Kite, Silva, I believe are above Kurapika. Characters who are close to the upper echelon like Bisky, Morel, Genthru, or Gota, I also believe are stronger than Kurapika. Where Kurapika sits in my eyes is on the same tier as dudes like Knuckle and Shoot. With everything I stated in this video, Kurapika has a solid lineup of abilities, the physical strength, and the intelligence to be as high as I ranked him, but what he lacks is something intangible, which is battle experience. Being in life and death fights constantly gives you a certain edge and savvy in battles that cannot be overlooked nor undermined, and until Kurapika has more fights under his belt, I can't put him in the same class as these higher tier nin users. So while I don't think Kurapika is an elite level character in terms of strength, yet he has the potential to get to that level with training and experience. This video was mainly made because some people tend to think that Kurapika is weak against anyone not in the Phantom Troupe. Weaker, yes, but I think Kurapika still holds his own in most battles. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how strong is Kurapika. And that is pretty much it for the video. I will have a poll question that asks you, how strong do you think Kurapika is? But guys, that's pretty much all I had to say. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Satsuki the Savage, out.
Am I dying to live, or am I living to die? Living a lie, with my head stressed out, see I'm stressed out.